Welcome into another week of The Meltdown. Beetlejuice remained atop the domestic charts this past weekend. What will be the first film to dethrone this deceased bioexorcist of Tim Burton? We will pontificate. Tyler has seen a lot of the new movie offerings over the past few days. What does he consider to be the cinematic cream of the crop for what you can experience yourself, and what can simply put, wait for streaming? And with the best of TV being celebrated this past weekend at the Emmys, we will grab those 5 biggest takeaways with another Luntz's List from John Lunsford himself. It's all happening right here on The Meltdown as we are presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
2 big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know that makes sound a meltdown. It's the meltdown. Time for the meltdown. Coming for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
Welcome into this pop culture campfire that we call The Meltdown. Here with you live daily, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the live chat. And thank you for hitting that thumbs up button for us. It really does help in our channel growth. I am Tim Melton. The other half of The Meltdown, that is Mr. John Lunsford, who is back, arriving right off the jet plane and landing here in Birmingham, back from New York. How was your trip, John?
It was good. Wish I was still on vacation. No offense. But
well, I don't know how not to take offense to that, but I do appreciate you being honest.
I am honest. You know I love New York very much, and as I was walking around town, it was nice to be back.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Well, I hope you get back very, very soon, my friend, as you had some sort of cheeseburger that was covered in macaroni.
I did. So the whole reason we really went was my wife wanted to see The Notebook before it went away on Broadway, and it's going away in the next couple of months. And the weeks that Alabama's off, it's sold out. So we found this weekend. I thought, I ain't going to Madison, Wisconsin. And I feel like for 3 years we talked about here nothing but we're going to Madison, Wisconsin, and that didn't happen. But I thought, okay, this will be a chance for me. I've always wanted to go watch a game at the Ainsworth, which is the Alabama watch location for the Alabama Alumni Association for the New York chapter. They did have been on game day a long time ago. It was really cool. They had basically every major school has a bar that is their bar they go to, and there's an Alabama one, there's an Auburn one, there's an Ole Miss one, there's a Georgia one, there's an Ohio State one, whatever.
It's a very similar thing in Nashville when we were there recently.
Yeah, I'm all up and down Manhattan, so I said that's my favorite place to be. I'll go watch my favorite team when I'm there, and it was fun to go do that. I'm glad I can mark it off the list. It was fun being among like-minded people in New York, where most people aren't Alabama fans, I assume. But got to do that. Got to go see The Notebook to check that box for her. And then I said, well, I'm going to buy tickets to something too. So we went to Yankees Red Sox and somehow lucked into right behind home plate seats for $100.
Oh, wow.
And that was just through Yankees.com. I didn't go through any special source. I literally just went to their website and bought them for Yankees Red Sox. And it was cool. I don't, really care about baseball. We're not really big baseball people here, other than being the world's biggest Oakland/Las Vegas A's fans.
Correct.
But it was fun. It was fun to go and do that. I'd actually only been to old Yankee Stadium once, and it was actually for a Yankees Red Sox game. Somehow our church choir we went on a choir trip up there and had lucked into 100 tickets to a Yankees Red Sox game. And so we went to that and it got rained out, so I didn't actually get to see a single pitch of baseball. So this time I'm glad I got to see a pitch of baseball.
While you were in New York, more specifically Times Square, maybe, did you happen to see any marketing for Speak No Evil?
I did not see any marketing for Speak No Evil. The movie I saw by far and away marketed the most, and I know you're making a joke about it, but I did not see Speak No Evil, even though it was this weekend that it came out. Everywhere up there was the Wild Robot. It was every sign I could possibly see that wasn't a Broadway show or just an ad for just a product of some sort. It was the Wild Robot, and it comes out next weekend, not this coming, but the next weekend. And
rave reviews
sitting at
so
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, that's one of those coming in. I think I've said it here that I thought it could get a Best Picture nomination. I think it's the shoe-in to win Best Animated Film, as good as Inside Out 2 was, just from everything that I've heard, and it seems the reviews are living up to the hype.
There's no way, though, that it topples Inside Out 2 at the box office in any way.
So. No.
And not that you were saying that.
I didn't think it would be Despicable Me when it comes to a Universal-ish movie.
I was just going to say, anybody that's shedding any tears for Inside Out 2, just it's like the Woody Harrelson gif with the money, where he's crying and using the money to bat his tears, which I believe is from Zombieland Double Tap, if I'm not mistaken.
One of those two.
I think it's the second one.
I never saw it.
From one of the Zombieland.
It may be the first one. I don't know. Is Zombieland a movie you want to see a third movie in the franchise?
I hadn't seen the first two, so
Oh,
no.
okay. All right. Producer Tyler's here with us.
Zombie movies,
Tyler, what all have you seen lately at the Cineplex? Because you've had a full slate. Some of it good, some of it okay, and some of it not so great.
So I did. I saw 4 movies since Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday, was that Speak No Evil?
That is correct.
All right, yeah. I've just
all a
seen
blur at
so
this
many
point, yeah.
at this point. Friday, I had a ticket to a premiere of an upcoming anime called Dandadan, and it is about ghosts and aliens.
So I'm on vacation, right? And I get a text from Tyler.
You're behind home plate watching Yankees Red Sox.
Reviews in for Dan to Dan. That's all I could. That's how it's spelled. Reviews in for Dan to Dan, and I'm like, what on God's green earth are you talking about?
It is Dan X Dan, I believe. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
And then I actually watched the video, and I was like, oh, Don to Don, sure, whatever.
Don to Don.
Anyway, that's the fancy way of saying it. Continue. It was just bizarre.
Yeah, it was about 2 students who are trying to prove that ghosts and aliens exist because one believes in one and not the other, and vice versa.
Oh, okay.
And they end up proving the existence of both, only to get abducted by aliens and end up in these weird sort of paranormal battles. It might be anime of the year. I really enjoyed it.
Do you believe in both ghosts and aliens, Tyler?
Yes.
Okay. I do as well.
I believe
John?
in aliens.
Just aliens?
Just aliens.
Okay. Well, now your house is going to be haunted, so we'll see how poker night goes.
Yes. My wife started sending me pictures, so I ran straight here, and she went and she had some packages sitting on the door, and she moved them all and said, hold on, I got to get these out of the way so the art can stand here.
Art the Clown is now in your home?
No, but she keeps threatening because the Spirit Halloween at the Summit is either just did open or it's just about to open. We were leaving Speak No Evil, which I already had to go see Speak No Evil, and walking out, you could see, like, I don't think it was open yet, but it's where Bed Bath & Beyond used to be at the Summit, and, like, the wrap was up for it with, like, people in different costumes, and there's a little girl dressed as Art on the front, and it's like, whose parents let them dress like Art the Clown? Whose parents let them see Terrifier to begin with? And it's just disturbing. And so she's like, when that opens up, because she tried to go to the one in Hoover, and thank God they were sold out of them except the floor model, and it was beat up, so she didn't want it. So I hope they don't have them at Spirit Halloween at the Summit. Or if they are there, somebody go buy them all before my wife can.
I heard there was an option where she could have had one of the floor models, but not until like 2 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah.
She's like, no. Got to be there for longer.
Gotta happen. Although I
You
guess
dodged a bullet.
Hey,
I mean, it's September 16th. I'm surprised it's not already sitting out there.
Art the Clown does star in Terrifier 3, which is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So it actually makes sense for
Some
if you do want the
stupid
floor
reason.
model, you could leave Art the Clown up all throughout the holiday season. You could.
I can't wait till we get to Christmas. What's your favorite Christmas movie? You know what? Terrifier 3 wasn't bad.
So you saw that anime on Friday?
Yes, on
and then
Friday.
on Saturday you saw Transformers 1, right?
Yes, I went to an early access screening for Transformers 1. That was a lot better than I thought it would be.
That's what I've heard.
I still don't like Chris Hemsworth's voice as Optimus Prime. It's still sort of the gruff Thor voice, like when he's sort of beaten down and he's making a plan and inspiring everybody. It's that voice throughout the whole movie, and is very distracting. But I really like Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee.
Chris Hemsworth outside of Marvel can't get anything really off the ground. And I don't know how well Transformers 1 is going to perform and whether or not Transformers fans are going to flock out to it and defend it, because it does seem like it's aimed more towards kids in the marketing. But from what I've heard, it does sort of play to adults within the actual film, like that it's pretty intense and pretty dramatic for an adult piece of storytelling.
I mean, for a kid's movie, like it was fairly intense. There's political drama and conspiracies going on.
Did they eat dogs?
What's that?
Did they eat dogs?
They did not. They did not.
Political, I just, sorry.
By the way, Dawn to Dawn, that's what it's called when Donald Trump makes a phone call to his son. Dawn to Dawn.
Okay.
Okay.
That's anyway, sorry.
Technically, yes. Even though, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You derailed me. What were we talking about?
I didn't derail you.
John derailed me.
By the way, I agree
Sunday-
with Jace. I think the best thing Chris Hemsworth has done is Rush. I think it's a very good movie. He's very good in it. Now it's probably it for him.
Nobody went to go see it.
It's probably it for him.
Yeah.
Well, nobody goes to see a lot of good movies.
Well,
I remember what I was going to say now.
Yes.
The humor in Transformers 1 was not nearly as cringy as I thought it would be. There were actually some jokes marketed towards, like, I don't want to say adult jokes, but just jokes for older audiences. Like, at one point, the word GoBot was used as an insult. I thought that was pretty funny.
there you go. Keegan-Michael Key in this movie, as you mentioned, the part of the voice cast, I thought he kind of stole the show in Wonka, to be honest. I thought he was really good in that movie. So he's sort of a scene stealer every single time he's on screen. And then lastly, you saw the Dave Bautista Hitman movie that I've heard is very mediocre.
That is a Netflix movie that they're charging full price for. As I said in my review, nothing about it is really good. It's just kind of content
Even
you could
the
watch.
poster looks like it's a straight-to-streaming movie. Like, everything about this movie looks like it's a straight-to-streaming affair that was somehow theatrically released. And I believe this is another Lionsgate movie.
They can't catch a win, can they?
They cannot. They had The Crow. They had Borderlands. They had Megalopolis coming out, which I think is going to be an absolute dumpster fire at the box office for what it costs to make. They've got this movie. What else has Lionsgate been around? I think it's just been all miss after miss after miss after miss. So it's been really, really poor. So, but still, wait for streaming for that one if you're really a big Batista fan and you want to watch it.
Oh yeah, it's Drax the whole movie.
I mean, Batista in action, sure, I'll watch that. Even Sofia Boutella, like when she does action, she's decent at it. She's in Rebel Moon, which is a streaming movie that's awful. But yeah, the worst thing I hate about the trailer is just one-liner after one-liner. There's the stupidest cliche one-liners, like things you've heard a million times before, but it's like, here's a line you've never heard since Wednesday, and they say it, and it's like, it's so poorly written. That's what kills it. If it's just action, okay, and you're right, that's a streaming thing, but the dialogue in it is like, I have to close my ears just to watch the cool action.
Is Batista a leading man?
no.
He hadn't proven it.
No,
And here's
but I
the
think he's a
thing,
great
though.
supporting man.
That trailer, entirely accurate. The movie was just one-liner after cringe one-liner.
Doesn't surprise me.
It was very bad.
Does not sound like a good time at the theater for sure. I would like to update everybody that I remain an undefeated soccer coach, which I think is
Tie again.
No, we did not, John. And
Hey, there you go.
I understand with your insult. The games were canceled Saturday due to rain, but I
Still
think
on one.
that
Still winless.
no, undefeated is the term we're using.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you're winless.
You would know something about that, having played Triple Threat Trivia a couple of times here in a row. Where
Never mind, my 5 wins I had.
Dang.
no, I'm just
multiple
we're
titles
kidding.
Getting
Look,
violent
all I'm
already.
saying is I'm an undefeated soccer coach, and John,
I got more points in trivia than y'all scored in soccer.
I hope to be able to inspire not only the next generation of young Americans looking to play the game that we all love, but also inspire you, my friend. That's what I hope to do.
What game do we all love? Because it ain't Triple Threat Trivia and it ain't soccer.
Well, I was going to say soccer. You know, all these kids love soccer. We do have tag team trivia on Wednesday coming up. It is going to be Brown and Reed versus EG and Ush versus Pavlik and Tyler. Now, I know he's in the room, John, but is Pavlik and Tyler the team to beat this upcoming Wednesday, or are you looking elsewhere?
You know, I think one of the best things that could have happened to Georgia after this past week was a little struggle and them dropping to number 2. And I'd say the best thing for Tyler is for me to say no, that EG and Ush are clearly the team to beat just because they were, you know, the only team that really did anything last time other than my wife's team. So they, you know, look, and both of them finished third last time. Isn't that right, Brian? Yeah, because Brian finished third to me and Tyler finished third in his game. So, you know, one step at a time, get up to second, challenge them well like we did with Lance and Jim, even though they both finished third last time too. And, you know, work on it.
You believe Pavlik is the weak link of that team, though?
I believe Tyler can play the game better than Brian. I don't know that I would say Brian is the weak link. And only because Tyler's here watching it every single time, and Tyler has played more times.
The last time Tyler played tag team trivia, his stock absolutely rose up through the ranks because he was the dominant force of his team. And his teammate is the guy that you're now paired with in Spud. Same result, different teammate. Is it time for Spud
I don't think it's
to hang up the trivia boots?
Hey, you're not moving on past the
not.
qualifiers. It's
At
the
least
same
we made
result.
it. At least we made it 8 rounds this time, unlike that time, and at least we put up positive points. Y'all may have had positive points. I don't even know. But
Me as a soccer coach, I've had more ties than you have as trivia.
and I've scored more points than you have. So
That's correct. I can't get out there and physically score the points, or else our team would be.
I would
dominant.
say I would take second place as a tie. If you're third, you lose. If you're second, you tie. If you're first, you win.
That's what they said in Fast and Furious, right? Isn't that a Fast and Furious line?
No.
I believe it was Talladega Nights.
We played.
Second is a tie.
Yeah. We played incredibly well. Tyler played incredibly well that time. Spud did not play incredibly well. Spud played incredibly well this time. Spud did not miss a single question this time. I missed a 10-pointer by one answer, and I missed a question I was forced to answer for -8 points. That's all we miss as a team. There's nothing to think we can't win.
That is, I mean, I agree. You guys, when it's all said and done, may be looked at as the best team to not qualify.
I still think we're the best team. The wheel got us. We did not lose the game. The wheel won the game for them. And I will stand by that.
Okay.
And I think we will score more points than anybody else in this entire competition will. Minus, obviously, the team that beat us.
Well, we will monitor that, and I'm sure that
Because nobody did last time except the team that won. They got 13 in the final game.
in the championship round, I want you to figure out to some way work a subtle bragging on your team into the video package that you prepare.
Oh, I will.
I hope you do that.
I got nothing else to do.
Okay, let's talk about this. We've got a couple of months remaining here in 2024. We've talked about it in
I at least beat one team.
Yeah,
Tyler's
Jason the
laughing.
Jet.
They call me Mike Norvell in the chat. I at least beat one team. Mike Norvell can't even beat one team.
Yeah, I guess that's accurate. Yeah. Plus,
You're more like Dion.
you're Bama through and through. You would never wear any FSU garb.
I mean,
with
I'll
any
take
sort
that.
of pride.
Yeah. I'm wearing blue to support the Tigers, the Memphis Tigers.
Wednesday should be a lot of fun, a lot of hype going into our next qualifier here for Meltdown Triple Threat Tornado Tag Team Trivia. Cannot wait for that on Wednesday. We've got a few months remaining here in 2024. Tyler, you see just about everything at the theater, which I applaud you for. I commend you for. You're committed. What's the number of total movies in the theater you want to see this year?
I want to hit 100.
Or at least theatrically released movies?
Yeah, for theatrically released. My goal at the beginning of the year was to hit 100. And then we talked a little bit because you said there's going to be so many horror movies coming out in October, so many Christmas movies coming out in December.
Yeah.
You set your goal too low.
I think so.
And
What's your current number at?
my current number is 74. I have not seen a single streaming movie yet.
I think you could hit, when you account for streaming movies and all the 2024 movies, I think you could easily get to 130, no problem. No problem. 130. I mean,
think
just
it's
this
doable.
week, you're going to be probably 10 deeper on your list somehow. I'm really looking forward to a number of different movies that are coming out over the remaining months of this year. One is the Demi Moore movie, The Substance, which is it's billed as a body horror movie. It's basically, you take this drug and it makes you beautiful is the premise here. It's got Dennis Quaid in it, which that means that there's a chance EG goes to see it, but
I don't think so.
it's also
I
a
don't
body
like that.
horror movie, which means that EG's probably not going to go see it because she is scared of her own shadow. So I would say that I'm just going to pretend that we're walking into Reagan and it happens to be The Substance. How does that sound in order to get EG in there?
I read the first 2 things on the IMDb parental guide and say, you know what, I'm gonna go see Transformers when you go see that. To my wife,
She excited for it?
she's very excited for it. She loves Demi Moore. Margaret Qualley's dating, married to, whatever, Jack Antonoff. So she was sitting next to Taylor Swift at the VMAs, and she was like, I can't wait to go see her movie. And I was like, oh yeah, she is in that movie, I guess.
7 Degrees of Taylor Swift with everything. Every story you can always lead back. Tyler, you're excited for this one. I know it's on my list of remaining movies for the year that I'm most amped up for. Is this a movie that you're pumped up for to see this week?
Not particularly.
Okay.
It's one that I'll knock out though. It looks interesting, but there's been quite a few interesting looking body horror movies that didn't quite pan out. So I'm holding judgment.
I like where you're at. You're going in and you're going to give it a fair shot, but you're not going in so over the top excited for it that it could possibly let you down. So we'll see if that ends up adding up for us.
At least you're not like my wife, who has been talking about it all this last week, getting excited to go see it. And I kept saying, hey, it's probably not going to come to Birmingham. Birmingham sucks, and it is coming to Birmingham. I was just trying to talk her out of it. But and then she's like, yeah, I hope Demi Moore gets nominated for an Oscar for it. And I was like, you haven't even seen the movie yet. This is like Tim saying, I hope Joaquin Phoenix gets nominated for an Oscar. It's like, I hadn't even seen it yet. He didn't know for sure if he's going to be good.
And I didn't say that. I haven't said that.
I was trying to make that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, I really hope. And there's some other horror actor that
or as I like to call it, a lie. But anyway, continue.
Like Heretic. Hugh Grant. She's like, I kind of hope Hugh Grant gets nominated too, because like they both look really good. It's like they may both be good. These are two horror movies. You're like, you haven't even seen them yet. Yeah. So she's so excited for it. She already thinks it's going to win a bunch of Oscars. So at least you're not having that kind of high expectation to just ultimately be disappointed when you go see it.
Horror movies are a tough sell for the Academy. Comedies are a tough sell. Superhero cinema, even if it's something like the Spider-Verse, all of this stuff is very much a tough sell for the Academy that very much has a certain type of movie they're looking for to sort of tick those boxes. John, on your radar right now, we've watched a couple of trailers today. I know I got Tyler to watch Conclave, and what else did I get you to watch, Tyler, today? Amelia Perez,
yeah.
Yes. This is all heating up. The chatter's going to be heating up about what these award contenders are. What right now is standing out to you, John, as something that is really high on your list that you want to see, that maybe you've seen a trailer for or you've heard some buzz about, or something that you think could be an award contender towards the end of this year going into 2025?
One I had on my list when we did our movie midterm, is that what it's called? Midterm.
Yes.
Was Conclave. That was one I had on there that I'd already seen the trailer for. I was super excited for. It's got a good cast in it. It looks like fun to watch political thriller about choosing the new pope, and kind of the politics that go into all of that at the Vatican. So it looks like it could be good.
And Stanley Tucci's playing a supporting role, which other than Road to Perdition, I feel like is never a wasted opportunity.
No.
And I
just
think
look at the Hunger Games.
It just amplifies the pedgree of that movie.
What was the movie he was nominated for an Oscar for? Where it was a supporting role, but he was the pedophile that was oh crap, that's
he was the pedophile?
Yeah. It was I'll find it.
Anyway,
it looks really good. I think it's going to be very good. Ray Fiennes is really, really good. Emilia Perez is going to be one of those I'll probably catch on streaming. It may have a theatrical run. I mean, I know it will for the Oscar reason, but I don't know if it'll be here or not.
I've heard from people that I trust that if the Oscars were held today, that would be the winner of Best Picture.
That is what I have heard as well. It's an interesting premise.
It's going to be a Netflix film.
It is a Netflix film. Like I said, I'm sure they'll do like with Maestro and stuff like that.
November.
It'll have some kind of theatrical release of some sort probably. But
it's got to be better than Maestro, though.
I would hope so. I'm going to find this movie. Sorry. The Lovely Bones. That's what it was. Okay. He was nominated for an Oscar for that. But he can be good in the supporting. He's a really good supporting actor. But I think it'll be good. It just missed my list, and the only reason I would have had it on my list is strictly because of the hype, not necessarily because I watched the trailer and said, oh, yeah, that's a movie I'm into.
Honora
looks good. The Florida Project was a disappointment to me. Did you ever see The Florida Project?
I did.
Did you like it?
I really liked everything but the last 10 minutes.
I did not like the last 10 minutes as well. The end is part of what did it for me. I really liked Willem Dafoe in that movie. I didn't really care for the rest of the actors. I mean, the kids were as good as kids can be in that. I never saw Tangerine, which is Sean Baker's first movie. The only thing I know about it is all shot on an iPhone, which is cool. But I think he was trying to be kind of innovative because he had no money to do a movie. And so this is like his third big movie, and it looks good. The girl from Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, two random roles, but I think he said because of Scream is part of what made him cast her in this role, that it could be good. The trailer looks really good, but it's getting all kind of award buzz. If it wasn't for award buzz, this would be one that like my wife would find one day, and we'd probably watch it because she really liked the Florida Project. But outside of that, really the awards buzz is what's gotten me on it.
There's two buzzy films right now out of film festivals that I'm very excited to see. One is Saturday Night, the first broadcast ever of Saturday Night Live. It looks like it's got a great young ensemble cast that's looking to sort of capture the charisma of that first SNL cast that every single person had their eyes on whether or not this was going to be one of the biggest flops that NBC had ever produced or whether or not it was going to be some sort of big, long-lasting hit. And I think we know how the story turned out. The question is, will audiences want to show up to the theater sort of knowing that the legacy of that show continues to today, wanting to go back to that time of uncertainty? And will they buy into the panic of whether or not this is going to work, knowing that it very much does? We will have to see how it does at the box office. But I'm excited for this movie.
I am too. We'll talk about SNL coming up.
Okay.
I have thoughts about SNL after last night. But this movie and the building of the Juggernaut, I know this isn't about that. This is about the first night.
Yeah.
And I assume it is strictly like that 90 minutes leading up, and there's
Yeah,
literally no like epilogue or anything to it. I would like to see a Lorne Michaels, movie down the line once he's either completely done, because he is far from done, seems like, or dead. And, if for whatever reason, whatever happens at the latter part of his career. But that's one that, like, when we talk about, hey, what kind of, biopic do you want? That's somebody that I would really want to see something. And I assume this will give us a good glimpse into it of kind of like the struggle of getting it going. But then building into the Juggernaut, I feel like is really the story that, at least personally, I would rather see kind of the building the Juggernaut more so than like, oh crap, we got to do this random show on NBC that nobody knows if it's going to work or not, which could still be good. Don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see kind of the bigger picture story from him.
And then there's an ABC broadcast movie that I think looks very interesting called September 5th. That centers around the hostage situation at the Olympics there in the 70s. And I think this one is going to have another sort of nail-biting pace to it that has a lot of people pretty singing its praises, I guess I should say, coming out of these film festivals where these films are debuting here early in the award season as that chatter starts to build about what is top-tier cinema of 2024.
The biggest thing that would intrigue me about this is I do like seeing into Olympic stories other than like the feel-good stuff you actually see during the Olympics, because it's not always sunshine and roses with the Olympics. And I think like Richard Jewell is one of those big ones that, really hit big. And I know it put Paul Walter Hauser on the map and all that.
That's the movie I think I was looking for when I was like, what does this remind me of? Richard Jewell, yeah.
It's, Olympic, terrorist attack basically, and kind of everything that goes into it. Like, I say I like seeing this. Obviously, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
I like kind of seeing the behind the scenes. And look, every Olympics, there's something that multiple things usually that come out negative about whatever the Olympics are, but they're supposed to be like a time of peace and harmony in the world. So you try to kind of avoid all that. But bottom line, there are things that happened, and the bombing in Atlanta happened. This happened. I do kind of like seeing the behind the scenes and, sensationalized or not with these different stories, that you never really know, but it is kind of fascinating to kind of see the behind the scenes of this. And this looks basically like it's all in the TV studio, essentially, in offices of trying to do the broadcast when that terrorist attack
happened. It's going to touch on journalistic standards, ethics, decision-making in crucial moments, and what's right and what's wrong. And I don't think it's going to overshadow the victims themselves in this whole thing. So I'm excited to see that for sure. Tyler, out of sort of some of the trailers that you've seen, some of the movies that are coming down the pike here, what are some things that are really standing out to you as things that you're very excited about here to wind down the year? Because obviously, I don't think Joaquin is going to be up for an Oscar for the same role that he won for a couple years back, but it all starts for me with The Substance this week, and then Joker 2 is my most anticipated movie of the year, and it has been all year long.
So Joker 2, like you, was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And we've talked about how I'm kind of cautious on it because of the musical elements and the early reviews, everything. Friday, when I went to see Dawn to Dawn, I got to look at a trailer for a movie called Look Back. And this is going to be basically kind of like The Fabelmans, but it's two kids that grow up drawing manga art and just how they grow up together, develop their skills, and become friends and everything.
Is this the first time you'd seen the trailer for this?
First time I had seen the trailer. It blew me away. This looks like it's going to be a masterpiece, and it's going to be, semi-autobiographical like The Fabelmans, except with the manga artist of Look Back, who is also the creator of Chainsaw Man.
Well, I'm glad that you're looking forward to it, for sure. I don't think John or myself will have a front row ticket to that one, but I don't really recommend anybody get a front row ticket to any movie because front row is really not great.
Front row sucks.
Especially
Everybody
like
talks
IMAX,
about how great the front row is in every other venue, but when you go to the movie theater, nobody wants the front row. Let's be honest. It is the worst. And I'm glad AMC got rid of their god-awful plan that they had of, we're going to discount the front row, we're going to discount sort of the wings, and we're going to charge way more for the middle seats that everybody wants. And I'm glad they got rid of that. I think that you get to a point where just every seat should be charged to them. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have more people that are like, oh, what's the cheapest ticket? I'll buy that and just move over halfway during the movie. Because most of these auditoriums, they're not sold out showings anyway, unless it's like peak cinema, which is something we hope to experience throughout this
Like
year.
dawn to dawn.
Correct. All right.
Fire.
We will continue to keep you updated on where we are in the remaining few months of this year and what ends up becoming an awards contender. One thing that just barely missed the cut for me in my 5 most anticipated with the Meltdown movie midterms that we did, Nosferatu. I'm very excited for that movie. It opens up on Christmas Day. I went back and I watched the original Nosferatu a year ago before I even knew that this upcoming project would exist. Robert Eggers is doing this, who did The Witch, and he's very much, this is like perfect territory for him to adapt this.
Have you ever seen The Lighthouse?
I have not seen The Lighthouse. You have told me that I will like that movie if I ever sit down and watch it.
Follow-up
You
to
would
The
like
Witch.
The Lighthouse.
I think I would. I've never been in the right sort of trippy mindset to sit down and watch it, though.
It is
That's
one you
fair.
need to sit down, turn the lights on, and you are literally going on a ride. Like,
Turn the lights on or turn the lights off?
Sorry, turn the lights off.
I was going to say.
turn the lights
Why
off.
do I need the lights on, John? What's going to be happening?
Go on a ride. Because it's black and white, it's very dark. You need to turn the lights off.
Okay,
when you're
got it.
watching.
Oh, turn
did, you like
the
the,
lights
did you like The Witch, though?
I did like The Witch.
I did not like The Witch.
I thought it was more artsy than it was substantial in its delivery, but I did like it. I did like that they were very committed to that form of storytelling. And trying to remember the name. Is it Black Phillip?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that. That left a lasting impression on me.
And then nobody saw The Northman, so we can move on to this one.
Nobody saw The Northman. It is a movie I have wanted to see for a long time that I should have went to go see it in theater. Had we been with Tyler during that time, he would have seen it first, and he would have said, "You got to go see The Northman," probably, and I would have already seen it. But
I want to say I've seen bits and pieces of that one.
Yeah, the trailer I thought was
a couple
really
years
good.
ago.
I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't go see it.
I've got a friend who's a big fan of The Witch, and I think one day he had The Northman on, but I fell asleep.
I've heard great things, but for some reason, I think something else was out at the time or something I was crazy about, and I just did not see The Northman for some reason. Hey, just a few weeks ago, I visited my friends there, the dental team that I trust most at Grants Mill Road, Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian over at Alabama Dental Associates. They'll take care of you with the professional care that you'd expect. They're extremely flexible with your schedule, with late office hours Monday through Thursday, along with hours of availability on Friday and Saturday. They also have Dr. Nolan on the team. You'll love the newest addition to the best dental team in town. Reach out and try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself. We're getting EG to go to Alabama Dental Associates. She is obviously a Georgia girl who's looking for that Alabama dentist that she can trust, and she's headed off to Alabama Dental Associates. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them at 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. All right, here's what I would like to do. I'd like to go ahead and take a look at the current box office, because Beetlejuice remained at the very top, about a 54% drop week over week, John, as Tim Burton, he ended up in a situation where he lowered the budget from roughly $147 million to $99 million in order to secure a theatrical release, because they were just going to put this thing on Max. Beetlejuice 2, which got pitched to stream on Max originally, had film boss Pam Abdi fighting for it, saying, quote, "That was never going to work for Tim Burton. You're talking about a visionary artist whose films demand to be seen on the big screen." And he was able to convince his cast to team up, in part by having them have deals of revenue off of the gross of the film and agree to take less money up front. And I think that this worked out really well, obviously, for this entire crew, because Beetlejuice 2 is a smash hit, $264 million and counting worldwide in 2 weeks of release. And this is a film that dropped 54% internationally. It hasn't done as well. It added about $30 million. But right now, Beetlejuice looked at as one of the successes, John, of 2024.
Yes, it is. There's literally nothing else out, because I'm not going to count Speak No Evil.
Good for you.
But, yeah, it's done good. Just so not my cup of tea, but, I'm proud for all the people like my wife and y'all that very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I went in thinking I would just sort of check this one off, do my due diligence to have a ability to talk about it on the show, and really walked out enjoying it. Thought it was a lot of fun. You can catch our spoiler review here on the channel. I recommend you catch that discussion, as it was one that had a lot of different angles to it. Speak No Evil, Tyler, a movie that you said, not that bad, even something that I may enjoy if I was able to work up the courage to go see it. Not because I'm scared of the premise of the movie, but because I'm scared of what type of monster I'll turn into having to sit there and watch something that I can't even sit through the trailer of anymore. It's a remake of a 2022 Danish horror film about an unsuspecting family who decides to spend a weekend with new friends in the country. James McAvoy's in this, and you said he's really strong in this movie, James McAvoy.
Yes, I was not expecting the performance I got from him. I was expecting that style of performance, I guess, but not that quality.
Yeah.
Not that quality. It's funny when it needs to be, extremely tense when it needs to be. It's a solid thriller to go see.
Absolutely. The consensus that I've heard is that it is better than it should be. I ended up at a birthday party on Saturday where people approached me saying, you got to go see Speak No Evil. It's pretty good. And I'm like, why did I come to this thing? Get away from me right now, please. But Speak No Evil is a movie that also has Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy in it. It's got positive reviews. It came out obviously on Friday the 13th, which I think is a sort of a smart tie-in there from Blumhouse. And it made $11.5 million from a little over 3,300 locations this weekend. Not a great number, but not a horrible number. Just very average. $11.5 million for Speak No Evil, landing at the 2 spot. Deadpool and Wolverine continues to turn along, as it is the second highest grossing movie of the year, and it is now up to $621.5 million in North America, $1.3 billion globally, still trailing Inside Out 2, but all I hear, John, is a win-win for Disney there because they occupy those top 2 spots.
They do, and Disney's attached to more things, so they're even on Alien and all that too to add to it, and that's what buying massive franchises and massive companies will do for you. You can just own the entire box office.
There's a movie this weekend that was only in about 1,500 theaters that ended up in the 4th spot. It's described as a mockumentary in the style of Borat. The movie has conservative columnist Matt Walsh going undercover as a DEI trainee, where Walsh also attempted to explore gender ideologies in the 2022 movie What is a Woman, both of them directed by Justin Folk. This is a movie that cost a reported $3 million to make. Once again, it made $4.8 million here in its opening weekend. John, this is a film that has become the highest grossing opening weekend for any documentary of the year so far. Are you surprised by the success of this film?
I now know this movie exists.
Okay.
I went to see it because I had just seen so many headlines of people.
You did see this movie?
I did.
Oh.
I did. Man, it was rough.
Okay.
Yeah. I was expecting a documentary, and it was I wasn't expecting the Borat angle, but it was just unfunny Borat.
So you were not a fan?
No, I was really disappointed because I think there are some points to be made about what he's trying to criticize in the film, but he just does an awful job doing it.
Did you see the movie What is a Woman?
I did not.
And I have a feeling after seeing Am I Racist, you are not going to be seeing What is a Woman anytime soon.
Probably not. I did hear that one actually is more of a documentary.
I felt like it was, for sure. I saw that movie, and I thought it actually hit on a lot of interesting conversations. If you look at these things as conversation starters rather than things where you walk in and you want to be preached to of exactly how to think about every single issue, it does create, no doubt, some conversations. Reagan came in the 5th spot. It's holding pretty well there at $3 million in its 3rd weekend, bringing its domestic total to $23.3 million. The Killer's Game was at number 6 with the Batista movie that you, once again, is set as a streaming movie, confirmed for us that it is. It got pretty bad reviews.
I'm pretty sure it was made by AI, like entirely.
Alien Romulus at the number 7 spot, my favorite movie of the year so far. It Ends With Us at the number 8 spot, a top 10 movie for me, maybe a top 10 movie for John as well this year. It Ends With Us there with $2 million.
I think it's still technically in there.
And then 2 more conservative-leaning movies in The Forge, a $2 million take at the number 9 spot, and God's Not Dead, In God We Trust at the number 10 spot, $1.5 million. So next weekend, you've got Transformers 1 officially opening up wide, And then you have Joker Folie à Deux opening up officially October 4th. What will be the first movie, John, to upend Beetlejuice at the top of the box office? Will it be Transformers or will it be Joker 2?
I would think Transformers, because if it gets 40, it takes over number one.
Yeah.
And so I imagine being an animated movie, it opens up its audience a little bit, even though Tyler said it had, good stuff for adults too.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting good word of mouth, so I would assume it will definitely upend
I think it's a smart strategy that they did with sort of having everybody that really wanted to go see it Saturday and start spreading word on it that it's much better than the trailers would have you believe. So I think it is going to do pretty well.
I imagine it'll take up some of the premium formats as well.
Yes, I assume it will.
Because Beetlejuice has held on to those for a while.
I assume it'll take most of them after 2 weeks.
Let's move from the big screen to the small screen now as we are set to unveil, officially according to John Lunsford, those 5 biggest takeaways from the Emmys broadcast last night. It's all happening right here, right now on Luntz's List.
What is this? What is this? Nonsense list, nonsense list, oh. What is this? What is this? Nonsense list, nonsense list, oh. Nonsense list to 5. Nonsense list to 5. Nonsense list to 5. Nonsense list to 5.
Right, it is now time to get to Luntz's List. John, what were your 5 biggest takeaways from the Emmys? This can be about the broadcast itself. This can be about the winners, the losers, the moments, the jokes. It can be about anything that you want to take away from the Emmys. It could be about the future of television for all I care. I just want to hear your biggest takeaways from last night's broadcast, which I think you got to see a majority of.
Yeah, I came in about halfway through, tried to catch up on some of what had already been done. I'll be honest, I didn't pay attention every time Eugene and Dan,
yes,
is that the kid's name, were on screen, because I'm like, they're doing some bit, I'm on vacation, I'll worry about something else. It's like, oh, what won this award? Okay, anyway, let's go back to this. Honestly, I didn't even hardly listen to what they did.
There was one joke from them that I actually think there were 2 jokes that really were very fantastic, which I probably will relay once we get rolling down the list, because I'm sure they correlate to something there. But
only thing I saw has to do with Beetlejuice when they were talking about Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest, because my wife is watching that Kevin Kneff himself show that the girl is on, the one that played the daughter. And so it's like, oh, that's the girl from that show I'm watching. So then I paid attention, and then it was actually a bit about her coming out to present the award. Anyway, all right, number 5.
Yeah, let's get to number 5. I didn't think it was the most exciting of telecasts, the Emmys this year. I watched a majority of it as well, and for those that are tuned out on the Emmys, I do not blame you, because it doesn't necessarily reward your time watching these types of award shows. However, there's a lot of conversation that goes around the entertainment industry, as well as what we'll all be seeing on these streaming networks and on these broadcast networks. They've been making a big push for Matlock and the return of that with Kathy Bates. All right, at number 5.
So like Kathy Bates, but I care nothing about that.
Scripted variety series. And I think I know which direction we're going here, John, with bringing this up, but
it needs to go away. There were 2 nominees for this.
Yeah.
One that is one of the last 9 awards has been nominated for in Last Week Tonight, which is a very, very good show and worthy of every award it has probably won. But its only competition was Saturday Night Live, that had won the previous 6 before then they moved Last Week Tonight into that category to then take over, because it was beating all the talk shows before that. They tried to split this category up. It was like, I don't remember what it was, but it was like outstanding variety series, and then split it into like outstanding variety talk series and variety scripted series. It's literally basically the talk shows in one, like the late night shows, and then Last Week Tonight, Saturday Night Live. Those are literally the only 2 nominees in it. So
you could definitely combine those.
They were combined, and then they split them a few years ago, like for no reason. And outside of Last Week Tonight and SNL, the only competition has been a Black Lady sketch show, which was like Issa Rae and a few other comedians on HBO. It never won, but it was the only other thing, just be like, we have a 3rd show in there now. And I feel like back in the day with like Key and Peele, like Amy Schumer, the stuff they were doing, they were more
Chappelle
like,
show.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff was nominated, but like all of that's pretty much gone now, at least as far as anybody cares about is gone now. And it was literally Last Week Tonight and SNL And Last Week Tonight won because it's won every award it's been nominated for in the last 9 years.
I've talked a lot about comedy being dead on the big screen, but comedy on the small screen is also sort of fading away because it's competing against algorithms that it can't possibly fight in content that is made by other users and generated directly to people's phones, delivered to their pocket, to where they're not maybe seeking out as much definitely scripted variety content.
And SNL is no different than the talk shows. I'll watch it on YouTube the next day.
Yeah. So is Eric Andre not eligible for this category, or was he in a different one? Because I feel like
he was not in this one, so I don't know.
May not have been nominated altogether. I don't know.
I saw him accept an award. So
okay.
Really, what they should do if they want to keep it. And look, I get SNL needs a place to go. Last Week Tonight needs a place to go. They're not necessarily the same as like Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon, all them. That all needs to at least move to the creative side of things. Like when they still give plenty of other awards. It's not just about like production and stuff like that. Like it needs to at least move off the main telecast because it makes no sense. Like, so the 2015 was when they separated the two. And the first one was Inside Amy Schumer, Drunk History, Key and Peele, Portlandia, and SNL. And like those stayed there pretty much. Billy on the Street popped in one time. Tracy Ullman's new show popped in there a couple times. That's pretty much it. And the last couple of years has been Last Week Tonight and SNL. And Last Week Tonight has literally beaten everybody in all the categories. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know where Eric Andre was. The creative Emmys have 1 billion categories, seems like. And it was last week, and they give away a bunch of stuff with that. But it just at least doesn't need to be in the main show if it's a category of 2 people. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird to me.
I just looked it up. He won for short form comedy. Eric Andre did.
There we go. Okay, let's move on to number 4. You now have The Daily Show and Last Week Tonight dominating their respective categories.
I thought those should compete against each other.
Well, they divided them up, so I guess that they could each sort of share the limelight. All right, at number 4 on biggest takeaways from this year's Emmys, and I say this year's, but this is the second Emmys broadcast in the same calendar year, so that can be kind of confusing. Number 4, Only Murders equals loser, sad face. This is maybe my favorite way that you've written out anything on Lunce's list ever.
I mean, I wrote on here, Only Murders in the Building can't win anything, and so I just did that instead. Only Murders is a successful show overall. They wouldn't have done as many seasons as they have with as many big-name people as they have if it wasn't. They wouldn't have added names like Meryl Streep, Paul Rudd in the last few seasons. It's a very good show, but it's never going to win an award. And I'm sure Steve Martin has already won Emmys. I'm sure Martin Short has already won Emmys. Selena Gomez has not, and she's like one of the main producers on the show too. So it seems like she will never be there. Now she may win an Oscar this year. Who knows? Because she's one of the favorites to get nominated for supporting actress for that Emilia Perez movie. But
it's always a bridesmaid, but really it's not the main bridesmaid. It's not the maid of honor. It's like a couple of bridesmaids down. It's always nominated, never wins.
There's some bridesmaids that do sneak up in there and win a little something every now and then. But this is pretty quickly getting into the territory. So the show that's been nominated the most and never won is Better Call Saul, which blows my mind. It's been nominated for 53 total Emmys and has won none. It didn't even win any creative Emmys. It's depressing to see that because it was such a good show. It had 27 main award nominations, like what we saw last night, and had no wins. And Only Murders is starting to get into that category because you're 4 seasons in now, or the 4th season is currently going right now. And it has 12 main awards with no wins. It has a bunch of creative. It has won a couple creatives, but I'm not counting those. It's kind of falling in the same line as another show that is wildly popular. I'd say it's one of the most popular shows ever done in Stranger Things that also has not won a single Emmy, actual Primetime Emmy. It's been nominated 12 times, hasn't won. It's won a couple of creatives, but still its percentage in the creatives is very, very, very low to be such a massive show. And I feel like Only Murders isn't a massive show. Like Stranger Things was like a cultural hit. I'm not going to say Only Murders is there. I would say Better Call Saul was there strictly because of the fame of Breaking Bad, but Only Murders is starting to put itself in that category of it took up 2 nomination spots in the supporting category, and it took up a couple actor spots, and it's gonna get nominated for best whatever show again, but it ain't gonna win. We know it's just basically a seat filler at the Emmys, even though all of them are sitting front row. You have Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, Martin Short, Meryl Streep all sitting front row, pretty big cast of characters to literally do nothing.
This is what they should do. Steve Martin Short named as host of the Oscars. That's the way it should go.
I'd take it.
Come on, that would be
I'd take it in
great.
a heartbeat.
That would be great. It's a way to reward the show on a different level because it's not going to win any awards. So let them go ahead and go have some fun at the Oscars, and I think everybody will be on board with it.
Sure. Hey, Selena Gomez, self-made billionaire, if you want to throw her in there too, I mean, you'll get some more people watching that may not be on the Steve Martin Short band.
Just she may actually be an awards contender.
Possibly.
That's on the table, so there's a chance that happens. All right, let's move on to number 3 on Luntz's list, 5 biggest takeaways from this past weekend's Emmys.
Jason in the chat says, I've never understood Portlandia. You and me both. I guess I don't consume enough like hipster culture.
I feel like you have to live there to really have it speak to you.
Yeah,
It's not really
I'm missing something in my life that would prevent me from understanding that show.
Yeah. Baby Reindeer, one of the big winners last night, won almost everything for the limited and anthology. It got beat in a couple of categories, but it's a very, very good show. I don't know if either one of y'all have watched Baby Reindeer or not.
You know who I'm going to credit on this one? Lance Taylor on this one. He said,
I only watched it because he said it.
Right out the gate, this one's going to be a thing. And when he said the name, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sure with a name like that, it's going to be a big deal. And obviously, it has become a big deal. So big credit to Lance there.
Was it Murphy Brown last night that was like, and I watched Baby Reindeer, and I thought, this is going to be so sweet. A cute, show I can watch with my kids. And it's like, oh, God, no. Hold on, I got to turn it off. It's a very dark show. It's a very tough watch. I do highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix show. Came out probably 4 or 5 months ago.
But it's remained a part of the conversation for that many months.
The thing is, I only watched it because I heard Lance talk about it. And I don't know where Lance found it because when I watched it, it had only been on Netflix for like a week. So Lance found it instantly. I don't know where he heard about it. But I feel like I only really started hearing about it before it got nominated for a bunch of Emmys. Before that point, I really only had heard anything because I was seeking it out because I had watched it already.
Because Netflix is garbage at marketing their stuff.
So I will
it's
say,
all word of mouth.
My point with Baby Reindeer being on the list is not only is it a good show, I highly recommend everybody watch it, is it shows there is a lot of good quality stuff on Netflix. It's just buried under so much mediocre that you kind of have to find it sometimes. And this is one of those shows that, and the guy, Richard Gadd, I think that's his name, that actually created the show. And it's a true story about his life, although has been disputed by the girl that it's about. To be fair, I understand why she's disputing it. He basically said, look, this proves you don't have to have big names because it's all just a bunch of no-name people. You don't have to have
IP,
crazy IP because it's just basically a made-up story from his life, and he's just some random dude from England, or Scotland or wherever he's from. But it's like in England. The story takes place in England, but it's just kind of a random show that just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But I mean, something like Tiger King, I feel like it's just there's documentaries like that every day on Netflix. It happened to just hit at a time of COVID where people were looking for something that was a new thing, and it just absolutely exploded.
Yeah, I feel like nobody's talking about Chimp Country, and that one's got to be.
You're making things up now.
No, that's a new one. I promise.
Now I guess there's a show called Chimp Country that I didn't know.
That might be HBO though. Somebody in the chat back me up on that.
Hey, y'all seen Unicorn Droppings on Netflix? It's really good. And you know what? Someone could walk into the office tomorrow and say that, and I'd be like, I guess that's the new thing. Unicorn
Chimp
Droppings.
Empire is on Netflix.
You called it Chimp Country. I like
there
your
is one
title
called
better.
Chimp Country, I think.
There's one
that might be HBO though.
Chimp Empire is a 2023 Netflix documentary series. It's about the lives of chimpanzees in Uganda's Kibale National Park. I don't know. I just typed Chimp Country and nothing came up.
Oh yeah, Chimp Crazy. My bad.
Chimp Crazy.
Chimp Crazy is on HBO.
That's an animated. That looks like an Adult Swim show or something.
It's on HBO?
No, it's a documentary. No, it is a series. Well, some animated show just came up.
What?
Some animated show just came up. I don't know. I just typed it into Google. We need to move on.
Y'all's algorithms are going to be way messed up from this point forward.
Also, Baby Reindeer, not about reindeer, but anyway.
Chimp Crazy, made by the same person who directed Tiger King, Eric.
There you go.
That's about 3 minutes of my life of investigative journalism that I will not get back.
I do recommend Baby Reindeer. It's a tough watch, but go watch it. And I think this shows that you can still get some good stuff in there. I'll tell you who hated Baby Reindeer is Charlie Brooker that does Black Mirror. He was nominated for one thing. It didn't win. It lost to Baby Reindeer. And when they showed him in the crowd, like when they go through all the nominees, because that show, for a long time was like it. And it's fallen off a little bit as of late. I still love the show, but like they showed him in the crowd and he's like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. Like nobody likes Black Mirror anymore. Nobody cares. He signed a deal with somebody else, but has come back to do Black Mirror. And I think they've said a 7th series is coming. But they showed him in the crowd. And I've never seen somebody want to murder people so bad in my life because he's
only
like,
murders in the building.
I do not want to be here.
I think Bandersnatch was Black Mirror jumping the shark.
Oh, it was a big misfire.
Bandersnatch is a very intuitive idea, but like it
poorly
just
executed.
It just didn't work.
Poorly executed for sure. I remember trying to play along with that and being like, this is not as rewarding as I thought it was going to be. So
the only
call
problem
there.
was like having to go back and I want to see the rest of the story. In a book, you can just flip, but like having to load different scenes and everything, it's like I want to see what could have happened.
See, Baby Reindeer. There's another thing that's got to be coming up on your list here, but Baby Reindeer won for what? Limited series.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that is the biggest takeaway probably of like the show that dominated the most was also in the limited series category for a while until it moved to best drama. And it would have been a showdown between Baby Reindeer and this particular property, which may or may not be coming up. And with it moving, it secured Baby Reindeer the win last night in this category. So kind of a big sort of parting of the tides there to where both could have their moment, much like The Daily Show and Last Week Tonight. All right, let's move on to number 2 on Luntz's list and see where we're headed next here on biggest takeaways from the Emmys, or really the past year of television. This can be looked at as that too. It was weird not having any sort of Succession last night to talk about because that's been a show that's been dominant in the Emmy space, and it's run out of runway there to have anything nominated because its time is up.
Still haven't seen an episode of Succession.
It takes about half a season to get really into it, but once you're into it, you are deep into it. Okay. But it takes a half a season.
I like Kieran Culkin.
Like, just watch the first 5 seasons. Trust me, it gets good.
No, first 5 episodes of the first season. But
Succession is good. I'd recommend it.
Number 2, The Bear's future.
So season 2 of The Bear is regarded, not just by me, but by a lot of people, as like one of the best seasons of television. It won everything last year for season 1, even though season 2 had come out, and now this time with season 2, even though season 3 has come out, strictly based on the time of how they do it. Because obviously it was only moved to January this past time because of the writer's strike. It typically is now. Most of award season obviously is in the beginning of the year. But Daniel says it, the biggest rivalry, Hacks versus The Bear. The Bear won 11 awards. Hacks won 3. But yet The Bear lost the biggest one with Best Comedy. Now, is it a comedy?
No.
Not really. It's technically listed as a psychological comedy drama, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree with, but I would, if you said blank slate, put it in a category, I would put it in the drama category. However, they played it smart, and they won a ton of awards last year because they knew Succession was going to run away with everything in the drama side. Succession and Little Last of Us was going to run away with everything in the drama side. It won 3 of the 4 acting awards, and Gene Smart was the only other one that won, and then Hacks ended up winning Best Comedy. And Hacks has been nominated. This is the 3rd season for Hacks. It was nominated the first 2, didn't win, lost to Ted Lasso both seasons, I believe, season 1 and 2 of Ted Lasso, and now it finally got a chance to do it. But after The Bear had a much better season 2, but yet The Bear won everything last time and didn't win the big main award this time.
I think it's pushback because of how it's genred in the classification of award it's up for at the Emmys. I think this is pushback.
I don't think it's pushback because it won pretty much everything else, but I think it's a little Bear fatigue because it did win everything last year, and I think that season 3 is what's turning people off because a lot of people voting don't necessarily say The Bear in specifics. It's The Bear, and you stop. Because, when you go to, like, directing, it's specific episodes that you're actually voting for. And that one, The Bear also lost, the Christmas episode, which is the best episode of that season that it lost. But I think you just see The Bear and think, season 3 is a little bit of a drop-off. Nah, but Hacks was kind of funny. Check. And that's how you vote for a lot of this stuff. More so than the comedy. I'm not saying the comedy thing doesn't have anything to do with it, but it would not have cleaned up last year if that was something, and still won the vast majority of awards this time if that wasn't something. But the fact that it won the vast majority of awards and didn't win the award still is like, oh, I guess Gene Smart really is that good.
I think there's some voter guilt that in season 2, they really were like, you know what, I'm going to pull my vote here for The Bear, because they realized, I think, that The Bear is very much not a comedy and shouldn't be winning the comedy award. I do think that that is a huge part of it, but it is a very anxiety-inducing show, The Bear is, for sure. And it's all
season
about,
3 is not that way at all. So if that's what drove you off of it, just get through the first 2 seasons, and season 3 won't be that bad.
Got it.
But that's also what hurt it to a lot of people, I think, was season 3 was not like that. Season 3 slowed down. It had a lot of alternate storylines in it. I'm glad the girl that plays Tina won. I think she's really good on the show. But it's just... I like Charles had to put The Bear in comedy because they don't have an award for best anxiety-inducing series. If they had that at the Oscars, Uncut Gems definitely would have won every award for that. But I'm just curious about The Bear moving forward because season 3 wasn't as good. They will 100% do a season 4. They've already announced that. So I'm curious how they either go back to what it was, and then if it continues to get it, like The Bear, I feel like for season 3 next year will be the seat filler for everything because it's already won. Everybody in that show's already won an Emmy.
Yeah.
A lot of them have already won multiple Emmys. I feel like next year it'll be just kind of there. And then season 4, we'll see if it gets better or not.
Yes, Chef. It's all about food, The Bear, and personality and relationships and stress and all of that. And helping us with our food, our stress, all of our relationships for sure. That's our friends at Way to Wellness with Leslie and her board-certified team, John.
They are. There's Tim weighing in. There's me weighing in. You can see us every day weighing in on this show and dropping the pounds with our friends at Way to Wellness. Leslie was in the background right there. You can see her and go see her and get the consultation with her and her whole board-certified team and see what plan works for you by going to aplanforme.com and learn more about Way to Wellness. I have a plan that works specifically for me. Tim has a plan that works specifically for him. My dad has a plan that works specifically for him. Jim Dunaway has a plan that works specifically for him. Go to aplanforme.com. You too can be happy, just like Tim right there.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into number 1 on Luntz's list. Biggest takeaway from the Primetime Emmy Awards, which were held this past weekend. What is the number 1 biggest takeaway? According to John Lunsford, we shall see. I think I have a guess at where this is going.
I guess I should, watch Shogun? That's exactly what it is.
It's another great, that's what a lot of people woke up today saying. That is a great, that's my second favorite thing you've ever written on a board ever, because I feel the same way.
I started it, but it's very heavily in Japanese, and I don't have a problem with that. It's just, it's a show my wife doesn't care to watch because she sees the trailer for it and it's like, I'm out. She doesn't have the same affinity for Japanese culture like Tyler and I do. And
so it feels like homework that you've got to sit down and really carve out some time to.
It's just a show you have to pay attention to because you got to be able to read the subtitles, understand what's going on. Because with a foreign language, you have to not only understand what they're saying, but understand the inflection with which they're saying, how they're saying it, what they're acting like when they do it. With English, it just all works. And like you don't even have to hardly pay attention to kind of know what the feel of something is. In a foreign language, and it's not just Japanese, it's the same when you watch Parasite in Korean, it's the same when you watch anything in Spanish. It doesn't matter what it is.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong. If Shogun was an HBO Sunday night show, we would have already seen it.
Yes.
100%. You guys would, we would be reviewing it. It would have its own playlist on the channel.
Yeah.
Hulu cleaned up last night.
They did.
What is it about Hulu that doesn't say this is must see right now at this very moment? Hulu sort of prides themselves on sort of you can watch this later. Shogun, I think, was a victim of that distribution strategy because there wasn't that channel that it was linked to, as in like you got to watch this and carve out some time for it on Sunday nights.
So 3 of my lunches lists are Hulu shows. The Bear.
With FX being tied in, obviously, with everything.
The Bear releases to where you can just watch it. Only Murders does 1 episode per week. And I assume Shogun did 1 episode per week.
They did.
Honestly, didn't really follow it.
You could watch it on FX if you were just watching regular old TV.
Or so it actually was on FX.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on FX, but once again, FX doesn't have that pedigree that HBO has on, you got to watch the show at this time.
And a lot of the FX on Hulu shows aren't on FX.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to watch it on Hulu regardless. So of course, my wife is all about the Travis Kelce, Ryan Murphy show, that Grotesquerie. I don't care about it, but I think it's technically like an FX on Hulu. She's going to watch it on Hulu. She's not going to be like, oh, it's time to watch it like we are with HBO, like we're about to be with The Penguin and like we are with, House of the Dragon and Last of Us and all the big shows that they have. But like, I don't know that the weekly strategy hurt it. I just feel like it's a show that until you hear it's very good and you see it win all the awards, it's like, oh, it's in a foreign language. I feel like I don't remember the Squid Game hype when it first came out, like the day it hit. But I feel like it had so much publicity behind it that then people were like, okay, it's in Korean, but I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like this show kind of has the same thing of like, now Squid Game is totally different style of show, obviously, than this. Like, this is old Japanese style, and Squid Game was like brightly colors playing a game, with a little salt in there, I feel like. But it's
Shogun is a show that on paper I can't believe got made, because there's so many barriers between it and the audience consuming it.
And that's kind of what they said when they were accepting the awards last night of like, this is East meets West that we never thought would potentially happen, but like, hey, guess what? It can actually happen. And it actually kind of worked. So you should probably watch it. We should probably do more stuff like this.
I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Shogun, ever. However, for some reason, I still haven't been able to sit down and find the time to carve out to hit play on it. I feel like I've got to have that perfect moment of, okay, I'm going to get through this. Almost like the way you approached Game of Thrones. I feel like I got to have a whole week to where I can just binge it alone in a room and not shower or talk to anybody else.
Like, even if it was the exact same show, but it was just in English, all in English, I would have watched it by now, because it would be something I could just lay in bed and watch. And I'm not saying that's like a negative necessarily. I do think it is a barrier to entry for people, but like, there's a lot of shows. I mean, like, pretty much any show that's not a Sunday night HBO show, I typically watch in bed, just because like I'm blowing and going and doing whatever. And then about 8 or 9 o'clock, I get tired and it's like, okay, I'm going to stop and watch TV. And a lot of times I'll just lay in bed and watch TV. But if I'm laying in bed, there's a good chance I'm going to zonk out at some point. And I can remember where I stopped on a certain show, but like I come into Shogun and it's wait, what's happening right now? Because there's
too many sleepy people in this country. That is really the problem. That's what we're getting down to on a number one on Lunch's list. Too many people who would rather sleep than read their shows. If I wanted to read my show, I'd just buy the book. Anyway, I don't know why I did it that way.
Pretty much.
Well, good for you. Shogun was already a book.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, now
I didn't want to read the book, so why do I want to read
to the library and renewing I don't have one of them fancy cards. Okay, I don't know why I'm doing all of this. But I feel like we all make up an internal dialogue in our head of why we can't get through it. Tyler, you're actually the biggest offender here, because you've made it halfway through the series and you haven't finished it.
Yeah. I mean, same exactly what John said. I'm usually laying down on my couch, not my bed, watching TV. But same deal. I've got to be fully paying attention to it. And if it's 9
and
o'clock,
he's seen done.
I like to watch television series while I can, like, I have an open floor plan in my house to where I can like go to the kitchen, I can do the dishes, I can like move around, I can go grab something. And when you
would not be able to watch Shogun,
you can't
like
do
that.
it that way.
It's always multitasking. We're sleeping, you're eating. I mean, it's
I like to watch things in subtitles. I've seen many films in subtitles. Films though, where I'm seated in the theater, kind of locked in, experiencing the movie. But television, it's just television. The luxury of television is you don't have to be completely zoned in on what you're watching. You can just let it sort of hit you in waves. Oh, it's getting real good now. I'm going to pay a lot of attention. Okay, now it looks like they're doing some exposition. I'm going to run in here and make a sub sandwich. Can't do that if I'm having to read the series. So I'm with you. We all need to watch Shogun. We've all failed what is the test of what is great content. From what I've heard, it's exceptional. It's an all-timer. And hopefully this award finally gets us off all of our lazy tails and we end up completing the series as a unit.
Fair warning, they do the Stranger Things thing where every episode's an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Towards the end of the season. And that's when it gets rough. So you're like,
the thing is, Stranger Things,
I'm back out again.
By the time Stranger Things did that, it had earned that because everybody was into it and everybody wanted to watch it. Starting that way is a little...
Yeah, they got half a season in before they started doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shogun, number one.
Also, I wrote, I guess, Hacks. I should probably watch that since it did win Best Comedy. I have not watched Hacks. It's one of those I haven't avoided. It's just like comedies on HBO to me aren't as go-to as the dramas are. Like, I really like everything Danny McBride does on there, but it's not like a Sunday night I'm going to go watch whatever latest thing he's done, whether it's Eastbound and Down, Righteous Gemstones, whatever. Those comedies I kind of let go to the back burner so I can kind of binge them later on. So Hacks is one of those I got to go back and binge.
Anybody been watching season 2 of Tulsa King so far?
Nope.
I've only made it like halfway through season 1, and I only stopped because like I really got into it like on a Saturday or something, and something happened to pull me away from it, and I just haven't gone back. I liked it. I liked the first half of season 1. I just hadn't finished it.
Yeah.
I need to.
I haven't heard great things about the start of season 2, but we will see if...
Is it every week?
That's what I think so.
I got to wait a little bit.
I think so. I think it's weekly.
I feel like it's a binger.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for the Meltdown today. We appreciate all of you fine folks for tuning in on this Monday. We will have some form of a Meltdown draft to get to tomorrow. Not sure what that topic is just yet, but we will figure it out. Wednesday, Meltdown Triple Threat Tornado Tag Team Trivia. It's going to be a wham bam of a matchup as we have both Reed Taylor and Ryan Brown taking on Brian Pavlik and your world champion, Tyler. We also have the Pennant Grace made up of EG and Ush, or as a fill-in, as an alternate, I think Spud has still got his hopes that something horrible and tragic happens to Ush to where he can take that spot somehow. And there are people who are still replaying the line that Tyler gave about reversing the CPAP machine of Ush to try to take the oxygen away from him. I don't know.
Turned into a vacuum.
I don't know what Spud is up to, but that would be very traumatizing.
So you're saying if I take
sure.
Brian Pavlik out, I can come play with Tyler?
I don't think that's how it's going to work. I don't think I can allow like murder to happen in this building, but
You're okay with Spud. I'm just saying,
I'm okay with Steve Martin and Martin Short too, but I don't think we're going to allow murders in this building. So that's going to do it for the Meltdown today. We'll be back with you tomorrow live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. John, if you plan on heading to our title sponsor, MyBookie, you may want to take a second look at playing in favor of the Carolina Panthers as Bryce Young got benched today. Did you see that?
He did. He has not been good. And because of that, I'm one of 2 people left in our survivor pool, and I'm still alive in the MyBookie survivor pool as well. So I need the Falcons to win tonight so I can win that, even though I do need Jalen to get me 22 points in my fantasy league. So I need like a really high-scoring loss for the Eagles. But yeah, you can go to mybookie.ag. Everything I just talked about, you can find some way to bet on it at mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round, get that first deposit bonus on us, and bet in the sportsbook, play in the casino, play in the live casino, bet anything, anytime, anywhere.
You could be doing that with the Battle of the Birds happening tonight. We will see you again tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, right here on The Meltdown. Make sure you like this video and subscribe.